Breaking today, officials say a suspect in the fatal shooting of conservative activist Charlie Kirk is now in custody. President Donald Trump was the first to break that news to the world. The suspect has been identified as 22-year-old Tyler Robinson. And here is the moment the governor of Utah made that announcement.
On the evening of September 11th, a family member of Tyler Robinson reached out to a family friend who contacted the Washington County Sheriff's Office with information that Robinson had confessed to them or implied that he had committed the incident. This information was relayed to the Utah County Sheriff's Office and scene investigators at Utah Valley University. This information was also conveyed to the FBI. Investigators reviewed additional video footage from UVU surveillance and identified Robinson arriving on UVU campus in a gray Dodge Challenger at approximately 8:29 a.m. on September 10th, in which he is observed on video in a plain maroon t-shirt, light-colored shorts, a black hat with a white logo, and light-colored shoes. When encountered in person by investigators in Washington County on September 12th in the early morning hours, Robinson was observed in consistent clothing with those surveillance images.
Now, this major development comes after the FBI ramped up their investigation yesterday, releasing never-before-seen pictures and videos of the person of interest, including that first one there that shows the suspect the moment the suspected gunman climbed off the roof and fled the scene moments after shots rang out. CBS News correspondent Carter Evans was at that press conference earlier this morning. He has the latest from Utah.
Well, we definitely learned a lot more information from this news conference, and we learned that they have a lot of evidence against Tyler Robinson. Of course, they have the gun, which they had found the day before. It was hidden in a woody area. But we also learned during this press conference that the suspect had been communicating with his roommate on Discord about the gun. And they say they looked at those messages, and he had actually asked his roommate to go retrieve the gun from that wooded area. So I asked the governor if there was a possibility that other people were involved in this. He said, no, not at this time. But he did say the investigation is continuing when I asked him if any other arrests could potentially be made. The other big question here is all these tips that were coming in. As of today, they got 11,000 tips, and they had an army of people here to follow up on them. Did one of those tips identify this individual? Were they closing in on him, or was it simply a matter of his father convincing him to turn himself in late last night? That's something we're going to get a better idea of over the weekend once they complete these charging documents, and next week when we have a preliminary hearing against him. Now, President Trump announced this news today. He was the one to break the news worldwide, and he says that he's hoping for a speedy trial, and he wants them to seek the death penalty in this case. Back to you.
Carter Evans, thank you. Let's go now to CBS News senior coordinating producer for the Crime and Public Safety Unit, Anna Schecter. Anna, what is the latest reporting we have at this hour?
Well, we've got new information about exactly what transpired after that late night press conference last evening. His father, Tyler Robinson's father, recognized his son in those photos and confronted his son, according to law enforcement sources. His son confessed, and his father convinced him to turn himself in. His father reached out to a youth pastor who knew someone in the U.S. Marshals Service, and that's how they very quickly took him into custody late last night. So all of this transpired overnight. I'll just remind you, and we were talking about this earlier, Mugo, as of the press conference last night at 10 p.m. Eastern, 8 p.m. local time, they still didn't even have a name pinned down as to the identification. But you're showing on your screen, this is actually really important video showing the suspect, or allegedly Robinson, climbing down off of the roof. And what's important about that video actually is that it shows the pre-planning. He knew exactly where he was going. It appeared to me when I saw that video that he knew how he was going to get down off of that roof, and he was able to flee. One thing I also want to note, we learned in that press conference that he had actually been communicating with his roommate, telling his roommate, you need to go retrieve this rifle. It's wrapped in a dark towel. I left it in a bush. The roommate showed those messages, those electronic messages, to law enforcement overnight. So lots of new information that we've got, and of all this is going into those charging documents that we expect to see early next week.
And Anna, you mentioned the suspect talking to his roommate about the rifle he used in the shooting death of Charlie Kirk. How important is that rifle, and what evidence will be crucial in this case down the line?
Very important, and they will be taking fingerprints if they can to match them. Now that they have Robinson in custody, they will fingerprint him, try to do that match. That's important to prosecutors, to sort of place him as having his hands on that gun. They also have the surveillance video. They're trying to, they want to pinpoint where you see him carrying the gun. It was interesting when we looked at those surveillance images that were released earlier in the day yesterday. He was wearing a backpack, and it appears that he must have been able to collapse that gun into that backpack. So I'm expecting a little bit more information about that and how he was able to unfold that gun and get that gun onto the roof. That is all going to be very important to this investigation.
Anna, this case has gotten a lot of attention. You have the President of the United States even announcing that the suspect has been arrested. You also had the director of the FBI earlier on saying that a suspect was in custody, but then that person was let go. So what comes next here when it comes to in terms of the attention? Oftentimes when we hear cases like this, you also hear about, well, this jury knows that this happened, that juror knows that this happened. How does the public attention in this case ultimately affect what a potential juror might decide?
This is a great question that you're asking, and it reminds me of the Luigi Mangione case. There was so much attention on that manhunt. And, this case, there might even be more attention because there was so much video circulating on social media of the actual assassination itself. So to find a jury pool that knows nothing about this is going to be challenging. All they need to do is find a pool of people for that jury that they feel can, regardless of what they've seen in the past, make measured, reasonable decisions about judgment based on the evidence presented. So that's going to be the key in a future jury selection.
Yeah. Anna Schecter, as always, thank you so much for your insight. Now, as we mentioned earlier, President Trump was the first to break the news of a suspect being in custody for the fatal shooting of conservative activist Charlie Kirk. Here's a bit of what the president had to say earlier.
I think with a high degree of certainty, we have him in custody. Right? In custody. Everyone did a great job. We worked with the local police, the governor. Everybody did a great job. Well, I hope he's going to be found guilty, I would imagine. And I hope he gets the death penalty. What he did, Charlie Kirk was the finest person. He didn't deserve this.
And now let's bring in CBS News Executive Director for the White House and Politics, Fin Gomez. Fin, what else did the president have to say during that interview on Fox News?
Yeah, Mugo. He also said that he had spoken to Kirk's widow yesterday, Erica, and, quote, said she was devastated. But he also said that the TPUSA, the organization that Charlie Kirk had founded, that she had wants to keep it going. It's a political organization that helped Trump to victory last year. He also praised him for his help with appealing to young voters in 2024, saying Kirk actually helped him with TikTok as well, and asked, interestingly enough, if Kirk would want revenge. Trump said Kirk would want revenge at the ballot box. Very critical point there. But he did illustrate just how close of an ally and friend Kirk was to him and his cohorts at the White House, and really showcase just how critical he was to helping the president win last year in 2024.
And Fin, the president and the vice president, they both say they will attend Kirk's funeral. The VP was also pivotal in getting Charlie's casket to Arizona from Utah on Air Force Two. Talk to us about the significance of that moment.
Yeah, it was a really powerful moment. That the visuals of the vice president and the second lady, along with Erica Kirk, escorting that casket, Charlie Kirk's casket, from Utah to his home state of Arizona, where the Kirk family resides. You saw Usha Vance, the second lady, walking hand in hand with Erica as they deplane from Air Force Two. And also it just shows again, like, just how close both the president and the vice president were to Charlie Kirk. And it goes back, especially with Vice President Vance, ahead of the 2021 cycle, when Vance jumped in to run in his home state of Ohio. One of the first people he reached out to was Charlie Kirk, and Charlie Kirk was a big advocate for his candidacy in the Senate there. And also when during the Veep stakes last year, when the president was deciding on who would be his running mate, it was Charlie Kirk in those crucial meetings with the Trump advisors who really pushed for J.D. Vance. J.D. Vance, in a tweet this morning after the news was made that they apprehended the suspect, he said very powerful words about their relationships. He was thankful to Governor Spencer Cox, saying he was grateful to him and Kash Patel, the head of the FBI. But also said to say a prayer for Erica Kirk, again, Charlie Kirk's widow, and those two beautiful babies. We took a big step this morning getting justice for Charlie and for his family. Thanks be to God for that. Again demonstrating just that close relationship they had with Charlie Kirk and the Kirk family.
Yeah, and I want to pivot to a different question here, a different topic entirely. Let's go back to the president's interview on Fox News this morning. A lot of news came out of that. What update did he give on the National Guard being sent to cities across the country?
Yeah, there was a lot of news in that interview, especially, of course, at the top when he was the first one to break that they had captured that suspect in this shooting. But another bit of news was that the president said that he was going to send National Guard troops to Memphis, Tennessee. This is following after the president sent National Guard troops to D.C. and to L.A. But he did confirm on Fox and Friends that he was planning to send those troops to Memphis, Tennessee, an area with a lot of crime. But something that has been supported and encouraged by his base, and something that the president was pretty adamant that is something that has been effective in fighting against crime, even though there has been criticism over that premise. Especially here in Washington, D.C., where the critics have said that essentially it has not been as effective, or that it hasn't really targeted crime and been more of a optical exercise than substantive. Mugo.
Ben Gomez, thank you so much. Appreciate it.